There we are. I was just playing around a little in my project before we get started here today. And we're gonna hopefully make a good bit of progress once again. Last time we effectively only did this room, which there's a... That's not what I wanted to do. Let's see where we were. There we are. There's quite a lot of things like going on in this room, obviously. So still good progress, but I would like to do more than just one room. The rooms that we're going to be doing today probably are going to be a little less complex as well. So we should be able to make that happen. But this is like a platforming challenge I'm actually still quite happy with after having a couple of days to think about it. So how do we move forward from there, right? The next thing to do is to make this hallway that connects to the washing room, as well as the storage chamber, which is going to be our combat trial for this dungeon. I'm going to turn off the tutorial dungeon and the purple dungeon just to save on a little bit of resources because we don't need those anyway. I don't know that this is going to be a particularly interesting room. It's shaped like a T, right? I literally call it like a T-shaped hallway before, I believe. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a round area with like some art piece, like a centerpiece to the room in the center, and then just having something that goes to the left and has a door, and something on the right that has a door. It's probably going to be fairly simple like that. And the reason that I want to do that is because just like a intersecting hallway is a little bit boring, and having the opportunity to like put like something like a statue or something in the middle is going to just do a little bit of heavy lifting as far as like making the world feel real, right? A little bit of world building opportunity. So I think we're gonna do it that way. So let's change over to T hallway is literally what it's called. So 5-2. I will move this over somewhere, and we'll get started here with the blockout tools. And I will be using... What will I be using? That's a fantastic question. I guess we'll be using the cylinder builder for now. I think that makes sense, right? So the cylinder quality is definitely going to be like quite high. The radius is going to be fairly big. Maybe the quality even needs to be higher. Like just this round. And here we get back into, I need to get a sense of the scale of this thing, because obviously this room is ginormous. It's actually really, really big. So this room, it's gonna take a bit to get to a good good size for, I think. But we'll see. There is the, what is it called? I think it's just a tube, right? Yeah. Okay. So let's copy over this transform, and then the tube will go in the exact same place. And here we can give in how many sections it's supposed to have, which is a little bit annoying that that works that way, but I'll be okay. Where is it? Let's put it up there. Does that align? It does. Fantastic. Make it red because I care about that for some reason. And then I think what we can do, the cylinder radius is about 2000. Let's make that 2200. And let's see if the radius for this is, I think it's the inner radius, right? So if we just go to the radius, that will match. Now I just give it enough sections to line up. At least more or less. Well, I guess giving it a couple more sections for the actual walls is probably not a bad idea. So let's do like 50. That might be a bit much. We'll see. This is all block mesh anyway, so I probably shouldn't care so much about it. And then we do another one of these on top, and that's the basic shape, I think. And let's set this height to like 3K. That'll do. From there, just copy over a door real quick. Putting these doors in circular levels is a little tricky sometimes, so we'll try to get this working, but we might need to put in some holes. Wow, that is very, very strong lighting. Wow. How? It's not that bad here, is it? No, it kind of is. Huh, okay. I don't know what's going on there, but sure. This goes back into the previous level. So it is supposed to go back into... I think it's 2-4 platforming. That doesn't seem right. Let's do 3 entrance hall. There we go. The one before that. And then this one goes to 2-3 entrance hall. So 2-3 entrance hall. And then to prevent me from having to do this entire platforming thing every single time we want to playtest, because that's going to get old really fucking quickly, what we'll do is just move the save point. Because anytime I spawn into the game, I spawn in at the save point in any given level. And if the level doesn't have a save point, I don't know what it does. I think it puts me either at a random door or it just doesn't put me anywhere. But that's not important for right now. We just move the save point over there to be safe. And yeah, then at that point, I think we just kind of... move this to the middle. I think this is roughly the middle. That wasn't the middle. I think this is. It's good enough. At least for now. So that'll go into the storage room, and this will go into the, like, washing room. Is that centered? It actually seems reasonably centered, I think. Yeah. And that leaves us a little bit of room here in the center for a statue. So I think we have a handful of, that's state, not statue. So yeah, we have something like the snow gathering and snow melting statue. I don't really care about any of that. Let's just put the gargoyle statue in here. And make it huge. So if we put that roughly in the middle. It actually is a good indicator of if these things are aligned properly, and I think they are. So this can be fairly big before it starts being too bothersome, right? But it gives us something to look at, and we're going to put our own art in there, obviously. Is there a shortcut to, like, unhide hidden objects? Because I know in Blender there is. Anyway. That'll give us something to look at. Let's take a look at how this actually feels in-game. I think I made a save file for that. Yes, I did. But I need to real quick change this over to my headphone speakers. Good enough. Okay, that didn't load. 2-3 entrance hall. Fair enough. For some reason, the load menu stays on top of my like loading screen, which is a little weird. It's worth looking into. What the hell? Also, can I just... Oh. better. So what's going on there? This is going to 2, 4. Oh, that's the wrong thing still. It's supposed to be 2, 5 T hallway. Oh, I know what's going wrong, I think. Yeah, no, this is actually easy to fix. Because when we add this to viewport, it's adding at Z0. But this pause menu gets added probably at something else. So that's just going to go at Z99. And that should make sure that it goes over literally everything. There we go. It's not quite finished yet. You can definitely see it blipping in and out, but it's good enough for now. That's I know it doesn't matter for what I'm testing at the moment, but you know what, actually, might as well just put these up to the right levels right away. Otherwise, I'm gonna forget. So this will be the washing room. Okay. Yeah, I think this kind of works. I think this is still very loud. Yes, it is. Hold on. Why is it so loud? I'm at 6% volume, for fuck's sake. Well, now it's very quiet, but I suppose that is better in some ways. Yeah, so I think the size of this for now is pretty good, because all it needs to do is it needs to have like some intrigue. We really need to fix the fact that the camera sometimes clips through things, but we'll look into that. Like, give it some intrigue by having this thing in the middle, but then it also shouldn't be too annoying to walk from one door to the other here. So we can just like go here and then, well, this is not going to do anything. Well, it will do something, but it won't put me anywhere. Enough for this room. A matter of having the art assets to put in here to actually like do something with it. And at that point, I might shape it up a little bit more as well. Give it a little bit more shape. That's not just, hey, round. Oh, that's cold water. Yeah, that's nice. But until then, I think this will do just fine. So, storage room, I think, is then the next thing to do. Either that or the like the little washing room thing. But I don't really have a lot of ideas for that yet. So let's do the storage room, because that's effectively just gonna be a box with some enemies in it, I think. We can make it a... Well, no, we can make it a little bit more interesting. We can make it a, like, 2-tiered box. Yeah, let's do that. I think I have, like, a decent idea for that. Don't know if it's necessarily going to make sense, but it's the way we're going to do it. So this will be the storage room. And I guess we... I really dislike... Copy this over and make this my floor. The whole lumen thing is kind of annoying though. This is also... Get out of here with that blue shit. Does my microphone like crackle? Because I don't know if that's a... It's probably just my headphone connection to it crackling. But I would really rather not that my microphone is crackling, because that would be kind of annoying and bad. I don't know how big this thing is going to need to be. as usual. It's mostly the size of the room initially that I always have trouble with. Like once we have a room, I'm gonna go back to lit mode because this is really hard on the eyes with the red color. But yeah, once we have the size of the room in place, filling out the room still does require a lot of work. I'm still really worried that my USB cable isn't plugged in properly, but I'm probably fine. Walls. So the idea here would be that we have a save area, and then we have a this is where you fight area. And the moment you enter the fighting area, which I haven't actually implemented in either of the other fighting levels, but So this goes to 2.7, this goes back to 2.5. And from there, I think what we just do is we just kind of out my cables in a moment, because I am hearing like a lot of popping happening. And it feels like I just like pulled a cable out slightly, maybe. Which isn't great. So how tall is this thing? 1900. I want to have 3 blocks. 1900 doesn't evenly, like, nicely divide by 3, does it? Sure fucking doesn't. So we do 600, 600, 700. Is that what we do? I think that's what we do. Well, we can maybe make it 4 blocks, but that's still... that would divide a little bit better, right? That is 1900 divided by 4 is 4... Just to make the numbers work out a little bit better, let's make this thing just 2000 tall. And then we can make all of these 500 tall. How long is this thing actually? It's the Y. 5,400. So that would be 5,000 divided by 4 would be 1,250, 1,250. So it's 1,350 for each block. I guess the way we do that is just plus 1,350. Oh no, hold on, that doesn't quite work out that way, I don't think, because now now we do this, it first and foremost doesn't even like slightly line up the way I thought it would. Yes. This also is not even near the center. Holy shit. Let me just mess around with these cables a little bit. Like maybe if the cables aren't so tight and they have a little bit of slack to them, that works better. Sorry if that was loud, by the way. I don't think it should have been, but if it was, blame Rode. That's annoying. I hope my microphone isn't dying. This thing is only like 2 years old. Before this, while being a piece of shit, did live for like 10 years. So this Rode mic starts dying on me after 2 years, I'm gonna be upset. $800 is way too tall, by the way. Oh yeah, no, that does make sense, doesn't it? Cool. But what if I make this 2100 actually, right? And then I make all of these 700. Is that still jumpable for me? Is the question. I think it might not be. I think this might be too tall to reasonably jump. I suppose if I enable ledge grabbing on these, oh, that's loud for me. That's very loud. I suppose with ledge grabbing that might be possible. But we'll have to see. Yeah, no, that not even close, man. I barely get to 500. Oh god, that's not good. Well, what I can do is I can use a ramp, which is not going to line up with this, is it? Oh, actually it is. Never mind. So I can make this like into a ramp, make this a little less tall, and then maybe have like a platform that moves up and down on this. Oh, that doesn't quite line up. That is... Ooh, that's infuriating. It's not a big deal, because now it will line up, but that's still... That's annoying, right? So this is at least walkable. This should be jumpable, and then if I have a... Fucking... What did I call it? Like, let's just look for platform. Yeah, a moving platform. Something like that. And put it over in this corner, and then how much does it need to go up is the question. 1,000 units. Okay, that's actually very easy. Distance to travel is 1,000. The duration, say that it takes 2 seconds, and it weighs 1 second at both ends. So you should just say normalized like smooth ramp, and then the arrow is invisible because... Ooh, wait, what? Did I set this to hidden in editor as well? Because that would be fucking dumb. No, it should be visible. Where the fuck is my arrow? Oh, the arrow just lines up with the x-axis, does it? No. What? Well, that makes sense. Arrow. An interesting concept, huh? I don't care. Let's put another one in. Let's see. The arrow just doesn't appear. Why does the arrow just stay invisible? What the f? And now I cannot... Oh, because I'm... Yeah, okay, I was going to say, now I cannot even delete this. Yeah, I had no idea why that is happening, but I don't really think that I want to look into that right now. So, let's not. And let's just hope that this thing does the... The timing of this is really annoying. The reason it does that is because it's not allowed to transition to another level as long as, like, this thing is still playing. The moment that fade out happens, it is allowed to, like... Fuck. At least that works. It's definitely too fast. The duration should be like 4.5 seconds. But there's also going to need to be like 1200 because this needs to be 200 units. Well, actually, maybe not. Because what we could do, and hear me out here. How many squares is this? That's 2, 4, 6. That's 300, 300. That's like easily jumpable, right? This should be effectively symmetrical now, hopefully. So if I just turn this around, and then I need to move these two. Well, only that one, actually. Well, it still is symmetrical. Also be duplicated over. But that still kind of works. And then put this in the middle. It's also a good way to check whether or not things are centered or not. Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so how many units does that need to move up then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So that's 700 units. Yeah, I think, well, let's make it 3 seconds. It's just something to make it a little bit more exciting to get up there than just a flat room where a part of the room is safe and a part of the room isn't, right? Like this feels a little bit more imposing, and we can like put some like shovels and pickaxes and stuff here, and then we can like make our way up by jumping onto this. We don't have a ceiling. And then this is the actual like combat trial, which can be whatever the hell, really. Maybe have a slightly... Where is my gizmo? There it is. Just a little. $4,500. There we go. I'm just gonna... Oh, hello. The spawner is a C++ class, but I thought I had a blueprint spawner as well. Yeah, BP spawner. Why doesn't that show up in there? detection radius should be pretty big. And then we add like 3 waves of enemies. This is going to be fun. These are going to be temporary because there's going to be new enemies that I need to make for this dungeon anyway. At least like 1 or 2. My current workflow has been make 1 dungeon unique enemy per dungeon, and then also make 1 like general enemy, and then at the end of the whole work process, or sometimes throw 1 in between, make a generalized enemy. That way we end up with like 30, 40 enemies for the entire game, and that should be hopefully enough. But we're making a dungeon first, and then we'll actually create those enemies to go in it. So we're just going to go with my normal enemy blueprints, which I think just do BP. Guess I'll with a couple of zombies. That's fine. Like 2 of those, and then oh, they're in there. There, no. Enemies. There we go. There they are. Preferably nothing that is like too like hard surface in here. So I can just put in some basic demons as well. And then maybe 1 ghost. And that can be wave 1, I think. So that's 5 enemies. And I know I said nothing too hard surface, but we probably just need something that like shoots at you, that is more like magic based instead of being an artificial entity. We can make that later. So let's put in like 3 of these for wave number 2. I make them like nice and spread out, so that always 1 of them is going to be like annoying, hopefully. And then all of them need to be up a little higher. What do we do? I guess just like another like 2 demons and 2 ghosts. I don't really have the specific enemy for this area yet. So that's going to be a little annoying. Let's do... I don't know, let's just do 4 zombies for that. That's probably fine. Might be a bit much, now that I think about it. Might be a little much, but we'll see. The reason that I'm doing zombies here, by the way, is... Ooh, I think I already have that one in there. That zombie... Yeah, that was zombie 4, so it's supposed to be these. Let's make sure that this is all like at least pretending to be symmetrical, because that makes me feel good. And then what I'm thinking is I do one more zombie, which I was explaining why I'm choosing zombies, now I remember. Have the mechanic where they like go underground and are invincible. And that's kind of a mechanic that the enemies in here are also going to have, I think, because the entire thing about this like church area is that it's all about like digging. So they'll probably have an attack where they dig underground and like dig towards you, and you need to like trigger them and then quickly dash away to not be hit by it. So that's why I'm doing that. And we're probably just gonna go with a like a mini boss version of it at the end here. And that's, I'm only scaling up the mesh. Hold on. There we go. Let's stick with 2.5 times the size. And we can give him mini boss attributes. So you make your way through 2 waves, the second wave of which might be a little overkill, and then at the very end you get that like one little mini, which is just a stronger enemy. It's not really a mini boss in any realistic sense. And that's going to be all for wave 3. And that will then like spawn in a key and all that kind of stuff. But for now, let's not worry about like scripting that kind of stuff. Just gonna put these in there. Yeah, and that's kind of it, I think. I guess we should be like OSHA compliant and put in guardrails for, because it's realistic. Mostly. That doesn't seem... I think it's just 50 units offset from the center. Okay, of course it is. Yeah, okay, let's just test it out. I don't know that I'm going to survive this, because it is a lot of enemies. And I don't have particularly like the greatest stats in the world. And I think wasn't there something fucked up about this save file, where I wasn't like dealing any fucking damage at all. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. So I might just be screwed anyway. Oh, that's wrong direction. Also, I don't know if it actually spawns me in with... It always just spawns me in at 0 rotation. That direction looking, so probably should fix that as well. Not on the priority list though. I feel like putting in like a secret here where making a like secret underground area open up with another mini boss or some stuff like that might be fun. But that's all like future stuff. Okay, now apparently I fixed whatever issue we were having with the damage. There's no nav mash. Also, this thing, fucking, why does it say stop moving? Zombie dive. Get, oh. What? But you do have an AI controller. I mean, we can just get your character movement component. That's not a... That's not an issue. Stop movement immediately. So yeah, what we were doing is nav mesh bounds volume, please. Pretty much perfect. I don't know if I've talked about this on stream yet, or if I've only complained about this in the Discord, but I did buy a plugin for flying navigation movement, because flying navigation, like in 3 dimensions, is a pain in the ass to deal with. So I was like, I'm not going that myself. Turns out that the plugin that I bought for that doesn't work with level streaming. That's entirely on me. It does say that in its documentation. I just didn't read that before buying it. So I still don't have flying characters that can actually move around within my navigation, which is not great, obviously. Technically, these basic demons are the unique enemy for the tutorial, so they shouldn't be in here either. Because they are effectively the same as those ghosts, just a little weaker. So those are also going to need to be replaced. I just need a bunch more enemies, is really what it comes down to. Also for just general combat variants, because I need like just differently behaving AI, right? Sometimes it does that and I don't know why. But it's kind of worrying, because I have no idea why sometimes it just does that. I have not seen it do that on other people's playthrough yet, so maybe it's just a me thing. But it also does it on the Steam Deck, and on the Steam Deck it takes significantly longer to like stop with the freeze, to like unfreeze. Which makes sense because it's weaker hardware. And I haven't checked out the footage yet from playtesting. I have like 4 video recordings lined up to check out at this point. So maybe it does do it for other people as well, but it's quite worrying because it doesn't only do it in editor, it actually does it in builds as well. Does less so and for shorter times, but it still very much does do it. So I'm not entirely sure like what's going on with any of that. But it does worry me. Also, I probably should plug in my controller because I cannot heal. Pausing the game actually pauses it, right? Escape doesn't pause an editor. Well, it gives me an opportunity to open this up. So, wait, you still giving me errors? What? Attempting to access BPC to property via BP zombie, but BP zombie is pending kill or garbage. Why? In the animation blueprint does it do a play mode? What the fuck? This isn't even hooked up to anything. Oh, no, it is. This is a timer by event. It does this. Oh. But that's not a problem. We can just check is valid here. That's fine. Let's plug in a controller. I should really just get an Xbox controller for testing, but Xbox controllers are even more expensive than PS5 controllers for some reason. So I'm not doing that. I can just emulate the PS5 controller. I don't even have a PS5. I only have a PS5 controller. It's kind of stupid. Anyway. Yeah, let's try it again, but this time... ooh, I don't have any magic either. Do I have... oh, do I have anything in the inventory? I don't. Okay, so that was kind of useless, wasn't it? Well, fuck. At least I can lock on. At least with the controller I can use lock on. That's good, right? That's yeah, that's good. When I disable my input, it should always go back to just like the normal things. Or maybe it should do this based on the controller input. Yeah, probably should. Well, I'll figure something out at some point, I'm sure. Yeah. And I think when... okay, so I have another idea, right? Because right now when I kill an enemy, I have to re-lock on to a new enemy. I think when I kill an enemy, when I have lock on turned on, it should automatically find the next closest enemy and lock onto that. Because it, like, I do already have the code for just finding out whatever the closest enemy is. Like, even if they're not on screen, like, I can lock onto them and it will do that. So when I kill an enemy, it probably should just instead of forcing me to go lock off, it should just find a new closest enemy as target. Well, that'll require a little bit of reworking of some code, because I fucking no idea where even the code for that exists, if I'm being 100% honest with you. So that seems like a, hey, let's do that in the future kind of issue. There should be one more. There we go. I don't know, I still feel like I'm dealing too much damage, but this is also, I think with all, yeah, this is with all these settings set to as if I'm in the tutorial, I believe, so. Okay, the big boy. First question is, can I hit me? It very much can. Can I hit it? I can, it's actually not that big a deal. Holy shit, he died very easily. Okay, maybe a little too easily, but yeah, so everything works in that regard, so that's good. Did he even... Is that view talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? Oh, teleport attack. Yeah, no, I know. Does this even have the mini boss? It does. Well, damage balancing might need a little bit more work. Where I just desperately, like, during this weekend, well, probably not, because this weekend I'm probably going to be playing a fuck ton of Final Fantasy, but the weekend after, I probably should take a look at that, at the test footage, to see how people deal with, like, the difficulty of the combat, both in the tutorial and in the dungeon that is available in the playtest. Well, that seemed fairly easy. So maybe it's a bit too easy. Yeah, that means that we've pretty much gotten this room working as well. At least for the time being. Maybe we can add in some, like, at some point, but for now, that means we go to here. What we call the washing room, and I don't know what we're gonna do for this. I guess it's just gonna be a room that also is mostly art, but there need to be some enemies in here, right? And we can do some fun stuff with this. We can make, like, a water-themed enemy, which is gonna be a nightmare to actually create, because its animations are probably going to be quite tricky to do. But we can make like a water themed enemy that shows up in like maybe some like little pools or whatever. And then we can maybe just add in some ghosts and just throw in some enemies in here. Just make it a room that has enemies. Like sometimes that's enough, right? Sometimes just a room that has enemies can be enough. Hopefully, because that's what we're gonna do. Washing room. It's gonna be smaller than this one. Say that for free. Like quite significantly, I'd say, even. Like this should... I still feel like I want it to be somewhat rectangular. So maybe that is good. Maybe longer and even a little bit more narrow. Feels like it might be a little too narrow. Then again, making it narrow will make it a little bit more hectic as far as like combat goes, potentially. So let's try it. If it ends up being too narrow, we can always make it wider. We're gonna do it, that's what she said joke, but I don't think any she in the universe has ever said that. So yeah, maybe not. Anyway, how's everybody in chat doing? People have been a little silent today, or maybe I have my thing set to live chat. Sometimes I forget to set it from top chat to live chat, and it filters some of the messages out, and that's kind of annoying. It doesn't seem to be the case. People are just kind of like hanging out. It's also fine. I don't mind. Frankly, it lets me be productive. When I'm just rambling on my own and doing stuff, I am a little bit more productive. I won't lie about that. So yeah, this goes to the, from the washing room to the tea hallway. As is evident by the fact that we're like making good progress here. Then at the other side of this, I think this is just going to be like effectively like a long hallway with a side path coming off of it, like somewhere around here. So what we'll maybe do is something like this. Did I just copy that? Please tell me I didn't just copy that. I did copy that. Fuck. I'm technically at work. I mean, that's also a good reason to not be too interactive. Again, it's I'm not going to be one of those like guys like, why would you do that? I like having like a couple of people to like banter with, but if your guys just like hanging out using me as background noise, that's like entirely fine as well. God knows that is what I use like 90% of internet content for, so and if it helps you being more productive, all the better. If it makes you less productive, not my problem. I feel like maybe having a slight staircase up leading up to this might be kind of nice. Stairs. lookout stair link. This might be a little bit much, but we'll see. What if we do this? Even make this like a lower number of steps, so that it's actually like big steps, right? That might like be nice. Have you looked into AI, into state AI systems and mass systems? Not yet. I mean, the state trees I have at some point, if that's what you're referring to. But not recently. I've been meaning to look at them again. And maybe for the next... I don't think enemies necessarily themselves will benefit too much of state trees compared to like just behavior trees. But I find myself, specifically with boss fights, kind of... not being very happy with behavior trees, because bosses have specific like different states, right? And having a more like state machine like system like state trees might be beneficial for that. And if they're now actually somewhat ready for proper use, why do these not line up? What? Oh, that's why. That's annoying. Not a big deal for now. Yeah, so bosses like have different states, right? They can be in their aggressive state or their passive state, and then also have like the early fight when they have a lot of HP, and then the later fight where they should be a little bit more aggressive. And I feel like maybe having good last quite there, yeah. And this is one thing that's important with like, especially things that you program to like effectively work autonomously, which is what AI is. Being able to like read what's happening and have debugging tools for it is like very important. But at that time, it still was very much marked as, I believe, beta, not quite experimental, but it was at least beta. So, can't really fault them for that. I understand that it is definitely like improved since then. So if they now have better debugging for it as well, that's the main thing, because I quite liked everything that was going on. I understand that there's a lot more features now, which is like always nice, obviously, to have more features going on. But the main thing is why I like behavior tree so much is you can just open up the behavior tree asset, say, hey, I'm following like this instance of an actor that has this behavior tree running right now, and physically see what's happening, what state they're in, what the values on that blackboard are, all that kind of stuff. Without doing a bunch of like, okay, I'm printing this every time this happens, or I'm adding in breakpoints every time this happens, which especially with like AI stuff, things happen quite often. So I kind of need something maybe not quite on that same level, but at least near it to consider moving over a lot of my AI, or all the AI that exists already I'm not going to move over, but to potentially be using state trees more. Like I need to be able to like see that kind of stuff as it happens. But that might be the case now. I don't know, because I haven't looked at it in a while. So yeah, art related stuff, right? Because we We can like make a little like washing basin. This needs to snap 200. What the fuck? Hold on. I pressed Ctrl C twice instead of Ctrl C, Ctrl V. Leave a little bit of room that side. Leave a little bit of room this side. Preferably about as much. So it's 2, 4, 6. I think that's 10. 8 and 10. Happens to be I'm an experienced level designer, but I lack experience in Unreal Engine, so I'm trying to learn stuff. There's a bunch of shit to learn. It's always to here. Just make these the walls. So yeah, just taking them like one step at a time and just like figuring this shit out. It takes a while. And I don't think you're ever going to be done with doing that either. Especially since this engine develops faster than you can learn it at this point, I think. Like that's so very nice that you guys are making all these features, but me as a one-man team, I just new additions you've made. You've made new ones, which is great, but a little bit, but I can't talk. Especially for me as like a content creator, that is like even better. That is actually like fantastic. But my god, is it also intimidating and sometimes a little exhausting. For me, it seems like behavior tree seems like you're trying to make an AI what you want to do, but maybe do something else because you're not creating direct instructions, but something like a map that can happen. I mean, that is true for any AI behavior programming that you do. You give it a handful of tasks that it can do, and some values on which it uses to decide which task to do at any given time. So there's no real difference in that. The big difference is that state trees work more as a state machine, which means that if you have, I'll just open up actually a behavior tree asset that I have here. I don't have any state tree assets, but if we look at, I don't know, this one, right? There's a little bit going on here, not too much, but anytime this runs, it starts at the root and then it goes down like a bunch of paths with like this being the priority, and then it checks, hey, can I do this based on some values? And if so, it does a task. If not, it tries the next most logical thing in a hierarchical way, which is fairly rigid and structured. And whenever you want to like change from one, specifically like make you either like end the tree, or you can only switch to a higher priority task. Well, no, that's not true. You can switch to lower priority tasks, but that's when these become relevant. So now you but it is a little bit bothersome to, if you are doing like this and you want to move to right over here, you can't make a direct connection between there and there. What you need to do is at that point you need to set up your value so that the next time it goes through your route, which happens either after this or when it gets aborted, all values for it to end up over here. Whereas with a state tree, which is more of a state machine, you can just say, okay, we have like this task, and this task, and this task, and this task can move to this task, and this task can move to this task, and this task can move to this task, but we also have like a task over here, and that can only move to this task, but not to either of these. But either of these can, for instance, still move to that one. And you have a little bit more fine control on a per task basis to say, this can move into there, this can move into there. It's not to say that you can't do that with behavior trees, because that is like what I have set up here, essentially. So you still can do that. It's just not like quite designed for it. But in the end, it still is just, you have a bunch of tasks with a bunch of conditions on whether or not you can move from one task to another. The big difference is that in a state machine, which is what a state tree is, but a state tree just has the fallback of working as a behavior tree would if you don't set anything up explicitly, is that you can more easily move from one task to another task instead of having to rely on going back to the roots and then like finding your way through a bunch of conditions, which is for things that have to do with like you're now in this state. And state tree specifically can have like a state in which you effectively have like a sub-state machine with like tasks that link to each other that you're going to be stuck inside until you move to another like sub-state machine. And it's a little bit more designed to be used with that in mind as well, which is nice. For some reason, your sound breaks from time to time. Does it? I mean, I'm not gonna listen to it back right now. Yeah, I don't know what to do about that. But yeah, so that's the main difference, is the way that it like changes between let's do this smart. Actually, I can just do this if I'm gonna do it at a rate of 1,000 like this. The way that it is able to move between different like states is the main like big difference between the two of them, which is why I would prefer to use state trees to be like one of that method of bouncing around. So yeah, we have like some particles, and then we have like a plane in here with a water material or something like that. We have a blood material, which is kind of like water, right? We'll need to like improve that. All of this is art stuff, obviously, but giving it a little bit of flair, probably not a bad idea. Even if we're just doing a block out. Does this clip through now? It does. For fuck's sake. There we go. Nope. Almost. I'm just gonna go in here actually. Yeah, that's easier. So let's see. Do we have water? Cool. Yeah, that'll do. That works. Can you recommend a few steps on larger numbers of very simple AI, like a zombie horde that just go to the player on a very simple topology? No complex movement. So yeah, if you have like a shit ton of AI, first and foremost, effectively, you don't want to run all of those AIs at the same time. What you just want to probably do is have only a handful that are actually running any complex logic. Which is to say, like deciding to attack and whatever. The thing is that using navigation is actually fairly expensive if you're doing it on a lot of characters at the same time. So at that point, there's a bunch of ways that you can improve that. But they're all a little iffy because what it comes down to is if you have like, let's say 500 zombies, right? You don't want those to all do pathfinding because that's going to absolutely annihilate your CPU. Aside from even like the rendering capability of your scene, even if it is low poly, like the fact that they're all doing their individual like pathfinding like to you, right, will absolutely annihilate your CPU. So what you can do is only within a certain radius of the player run the behavior tree that has the more like narrow and complex movement, and outside of that you can just make them do very like dumb movement, just say, hey, move toward player, by just like adjusting their world position. Just something like just effectively the same way that I have like this moving platform that I have here, right? All that this does, it does it over a timeline, but it just sets the actor location to its current actor location plus like a direction multiplied by delta time and so on and so forth. It's going to get stuck on things if there's a lot of stuff in the way when you do that. But that's kind of the thing, is if you wanted to look at other stuff and like take into account actual navigation, doing that on a large scale with like hundreds of actors is just not feasible. It's just like not reasonably going to happen. Another way to do it a little bit more intelligently, but still with the risk of things going wrong, could be doing something like grouping them together. And the way that you group them together, you can do them in a couple of ways. If you spawn them in like dynamically, which you probably don't want to do too much if you have this many actors to begin with, but maybe like object pooling them already, whatever. Different topic for a different day. What you can do is you can have like a dummy actor, which is just like an empty actor that doesn't have anything going on, and have that do the navigation. So let's say that we have 500 zombies again. Within a radius of the player, they will just use their own behavior and their own navigation to navigate toward the player, but like through the nav mesh and all that kind of stuff. But as long as they're outside of this, what they will do instead is they will do that just like my position toward you linearly to a dummy actor that does have the navigation. So we'll have an empty actor that doesn't really like do anything, just has a capsule component and a character movement component that will be doing the actual navigation, and then we do like grouping them by like actors of like 10 per dummy, that will be like doing this DOM following. That way, if there is something like a building in the way, the dummy actor will still be able to navigate around it. And with a little bit of luck, all of the like dumb zombies that are just like linearly following along the dummy actor will also then navigate around the building. Of course, the downside is if one of them gets stuck on the corner and the dummy actor keeps moving, it's going to get stuck behind the building anyway. So at that point, you have like a bunch of fallback options where as soon as the dummy actor like gets within the radius of the player, it destroys itself, you spawn in a new one, and when this one loses the thing that it's following, it just picks the next closest one and moves towards that, and it's likely still going to get stuck on a bunch of stuff. So maybe after a certain amount of time, if it hasn't reached the player, it'll just delete itself, or if it maintains the rough same distance to the player, it'll delete itself and respawn, or something along those lines. You're going to have to just see what issues you run into and how to be clever about fixing those. But this is one of those things where you can have somewhat more intelligent navigation with a large group of actors without it taking up a lot of resources. And it also like not being just linear move to where, and if there is something in the way, you're fucked. This requires quite a lot of setup to get like working properly though, but it will be a nice system to work. And once again, when they get within a certain range of the player, you probably do want to just straight up switch to them running their own behavior tree, because at that point, you'll also need to check their distance, whether or not they should attack, and maybe like do some other stuff. If it's really simple, just only move toward player and within certain range attack player, you probably don't even need to run a behavior tree, to be honest. You can just do that entirely within the tick event, which is probably faster. You'd need to test. Like you would need to test and profile for your specific use case whether or not using a behavior tree, where you can set up services to only run every X amount of time, or doing everything in tick or with a timer on the actor itself performs better. I would wager if you don't need a lot of like complex decision making and it's literally just move toward player, and if close to player, play an animation montage that attacks, just doing it as a simple couple of nodes within your players or your zombies tick event is probably going to perform better than doing a behavior tree. Because I can only imagine that behavior tree stuff has its own overhead. And it might also be easier to deal with like switching between it's like more intelligent and more basic navigation if it's both within the blueprint. So yeah, that's the basic idea that I would probably follow. Let's put down a cylinder. The wonderful thing is, at this point, I know that these things are about 1,000 units apart, so it's very easy to just... Oh, dude. So not the other way around. Oh no, I hate the fact that there is a way to make translucent things clickable. Let me just Google that. Unreal, click on actor with friends, loosened material, hitting T. There we go. Yeah, so I want to make this waterfall material. Can I make an instance of that to just make it water? I mean, I can. Material instance, blue waterfall. What the? Why are you not? You should be a parameter. Oh, I did not apply this. That makes sense. Blue. Maybe a little too blue even. That blue. Why is it so dark? Just need to make it like super close to white. Oh, it just is really, really dark. It also is still red. What? I'm losing my mind. This is the red material, right? This looks really fucking red. Hello? That's just because of the reflect, I suppose. Okay. Why is this one so fucking blue then? Well, it's about state freeze and mass. Yeah, I did the what the hell? Material attributes. Oh, it's a material function as a whole. Ooh, what the? Okay, there's a lot going on here. It does use emissive color. Is that the issue? My emissive color is entirely black. That might be it. Maybe it should be white. Maybe not. Let's see. Does that fix it? Or does that just make it white? That just makes it white. Which, I mean, for flowing water isn't bad. For now, how does this look? Pretty bad. But I think I'm just going to go with it. This is not like actually important right now. Add some water taps with some water, and then we can put some enemies in. How about that? Add these two favorites as well. So this is going to kind of suck for a moment until we have enemies that we can properly deal with here. Just because these will be able to step over this ledge, but I doubt it. We'll see. At any rate, these need to have no collision. So, collision preset, no collision. And the same with these, actually. All these probably best to have them at no collision as well. And then we have a enemy activator. Yeah, that seems about right. And I like the symmetry of having these on both sides. But maybe have the enemies or something. Hold on, I do want these to snap into 100 units in the wall now. Okay, maybe not. Never mind. Sure, good enough. I actually don't hate that. And this one will probably have like... Oh. These will be broken. Which I will symbolize by the fact that they are shorter. Sure. It does the trick. And then we can have like a thing, just like a rack with like shoes and stuff over here. But I think this is pretty good. Let's make sure that this hooks up to the T hallway. Yes, it does. And this will hook up to the... What did we call it again? The holy place. I'm so good at naming things. Wow. And this will hook up to, I think it's just called like the staircase or something, right? Straight hall stairs. Okay, that's significantly more shitty name. So yeah, let's just do a quick little walkthrough of all that to see what it looks like. And if it works. I mean, it's not exactly the way that I would want that to happen, but that's because this is the way that you usually like would come into this room. Yeah, maybe there definitely needs to be something more happening on the back wall, because this is a little like nothing is actually going on here. But I like this. Like this seems inviting to go check out, and then doesn't do anything because I didn't actually link up these things to this trigger volume. Hello, can I please click on these things? Yeah, so the enemies to activate are these 3. That's weird, right? Because this should link me up to there. And not to this one. Why does it link me to that one? That's why. Okay. Mystery solved. Yeah, that's better. So yeah, this is quite inviting to go like look at them here and go, oh, I'm gonna fucking die. No, you're gonna die, and then you kill them. I would make a bridge between the 2 doors with maybe some kind of platforming on it. Would put water with pipes and enemies under the bridge. That's not... What the fuck is up with this material, man? Material's really weird. It's actually kind of nice, the way that looks. That probably would make for a slightly more, like, dynamic and interesting level, I do agree. And this water looks kind of nice with the reflections. Nice. Physically accurate lighting is so good. It's kind of weird how it looks different in viewport though. The thing is like this room is supposed to just be like a washing room to wash up before. I also do like the idea that there needs to be like something in between there and there. Because there's just a little bit too much going on where you just like walk from one door to the other without any obstructions. Then again, this is an entirely like optional room anyway. This doesn't actually contain any like progression gating. I would put some kind of loop below the bridge to reward the player for exploring or falling. Yeah, no, definitely. Like when we get back to a room like this, that is definitely where I can like make that work, right? Like creating a small little like offshoot here where you can like explore a little bit and like find some extra items or something like that. Because frankly, like this room is just like made to be like gameplay purely, and to give a first, well, not quite first impression because you've just walked like through this room and this room, which are quite linear and boring. But this is the first like, oh wow, this is like a place, isn't it? Kind of deal. And then you also have like actual gameplay here. Before immediately getting into another room with not a lot of gameplay. So this needs to have more gameplay. I do agree with that. I'm just kind of thinking about what can I do to still like have this make sense with what it should be, which is again just like a room where you like wash up like before going in to like the prayer room. Can give it some more verticality. And I can give it some more depth, right? We have this as like the entrance area, but we can, without a doubt, if I choose to, can immediately go up those stairs. I don't mind that being like right after that. We can very much like That's just a placeholder. We can very much make this just a lot like taller, and maybe even have a higher ceiling to allow to give some more room for actual content to go. And I don't like be reached through some platforming. This might be a little much, but we'll see. It's kind of like nice if we do that. So let's make like a block for that to stand on. But at the same time, I'm also thinking of I try, at least in this dungeon. In the last dungeon, I did it a little bit more, admittedly. But that's why I'm trying to do it a little bit less now. I gameplay blocks. Like, this is a jump area now. But also have them make sense within like the world itself. And since this needs to be like an easily reachable area for like people that live here or lived here in context of the world, I can't just like make a couple of pillars that you need to jump over and that be like the designed way from like an architectural perspective. Of course, it is the game designed way, but from like the building perspective, to get up to this area. So it needs to be that like the staircase is broken, and you're platforming up like rubble or something like that. But yeah, I try not to have like two rooms back to back when nothing like engaging happens for the most part. As you can see, I have that here, right? We have like when we enter this, technically you could call this as a room as well, but like this is the center point of the entire game. You go through here and then you just have like a staircase that goes up, and like the only engagement that you have here is that it's a split path. But to go through here because there's going to be a locked door. So it is effectively still just a hallway. So after that, there does need to be like something that happens, and then like there's a lot that happens here. But then immediately after that, we have another like effectively just a hallway where nothing happens. So I do want something to happen here, because otherwise the ratio of this dungeon for the most part is going to be like 2-1 to almost 1-1. Of effectively just empty rooms where you walk through. So I do want something to be happening here, because the next room is, well, the next room is actually going to have a fair bit of platform. Like around that area. Maybe a little bit less high than it is, but so there's going to be a fair bit of gameplay there as well. There just needs to be something here. Because getting to this area probably doesn't actually take that much, right? That's just like walking through here and then through here, but can optionally do, which hopefully will attract players to do it. Will hopefully be a good enough balance for this room. So yeah, what I'm thinking is we have like a broken staircase or something. I already have a staircase blueprint right over here. Let's put that actually in the exact location of this. And this will look less shit once there's an actual like because this is bad. But that'll allow me to create some. Yeah, we can have it's. Yeah, I have some ideas. Hold on. Because I was just talking about, hey, maybe we can have like a little shoe rack that we can jump up on. Well, I wasn't talking about jumping up on it, but I was just talking about having a little shoe rack here as well. So if we have that, that can be exactly opposite this. That kind of. That can work, and then we just happens to have a barrel next to it because like there we can have a little bit of leniency with it being a video game, right? I think so. I think that is kind of fine. Do I just have a barrel actually? I can just put there instead. I must. Yeah, I do. Make it a bit bigger. This might be altogether a bit too big, but we'll see. Yeah, it'll still not allow me to get up on it. Oh, but we can have a barrel, and then we can have another thing here that we can jump up on maybe. That's a little bit lower down, and that'll allow us to jump up there. So how about... yeah, I have an idea. How about this is like a bookcase? Something like that. I hope that I remember this when I'm doing the art, but with like one of the... So that allows me to like jump, 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 jump. And then we're up here. Or too thin to feel good. So let's try to figure this out before we like commit too hard to it on controller. Also needs to be at least slightly obvious what's supposed to go on there. Oh. Sure. That'll work for now. This is actually plenty wide enough. It's not quite like super wide, but it'll probably do fine enough. And from there, I think what we can do is we can have like some... Is that too much? Let's do this. We can have some things that like go across the of piece, so you need to jump like at least once here. Unlike the I'm actually like quite excited to get art into place for this. Not that I'm unexcited for for it in the purple dungeon, but it's because I'm thinking so much more in terms of like how can I motivate these things to like exist, and like why is their existence like for these like random blocks. Yeah, so this needs to be... $200 more that way. Yeah, there we go. It feels like a lot of fun to like think all this stuff up and then execute on it. And I think now I think about it, making this all a little bit wider just to have it a little bit more player friendly. Like too ugly to work with, but I guess we'll see. But I think this will be a little bit easier because you're not like hugging up so close to the wall the entire time. And honestly, it also makes the entrance, like, just the complexity of the scene. Like, there's more lines going on, which also gives this, like, this hallway a little bit more depth, right? Because you have all these, like, disappearing lines onto an horizon. Instead of only down here, you have some, like, lines to break it up in the middle as well. From, like, a compositional perspective, which is nice. So I kind of like that as well. Yeah, so then we can have... I don't know how we're going to gap, like, go over this gap. Matter of fact, actually, I need to try something, because I can definitely, like, already see this being a slight issue. So let's turn around this barrel. Problem solved. I think I can definitely already like see an issue where you can just dash from one side of that to the other, because I had some shithead playtesting, thank you for playtesting by the way, who like dash abused his way across a way wider room. So you can definitely just skip this. The question is if you can skip this with just the normal like default dash. Oh, that's a little high up, actually. That is... it's makeable, but... Yeah, with just a normal dash, you actually seemingly can't make that just about. Oh, and that also then... that's nice. That activates those enemies. But with the little exploit that I'm definitely like gonna keep in, yeah, this needs to be... Yeah, the shelf needs to be up a little higher, because this is a little too much. But with like the... Oh, but when there's enemies around, you can't do that. That is... Didn't think about that. But if there's enemies nearby, it will always like magnetize you toward those enemies when you attack. So if you fuck it up once, you need to leave the room and come back. At which point it's probably just faster to do the actual platforming. Well, platforming kind of in quotation marks. Because there's not a lot of platforming going on here realistically, but question is, can we make this jump? You kinda can, but you more realistically will make it like that, which is good because that gives a reason for that second one to exist. But yeah, you can definitely like exploit your way over there, which again is fine. Little mid-air dash attack exploit. Aside from the fact that I'm telling everybody watching these live streams about it, so everybody's gonna fucking know, but that's fine. Let's make this slightly more interesting by 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Making this entire corner like broken off, and then we'll put some rubble down there and that kind of stuff. So you need to make a jump here as well. But yeah, then we need to do something I guess we can just kind of make this a bookcase. We also need to pay in mind, actually, to like have. There shouldn't be anything built in past like at least like that point. Right? Because this is how the let's give this like 20 steps or something like that for now. And the staircase might have broken. Oh well, what we maybe can do is oh no we can't. We're gonna say what we maybe can do is add like a little bit more of the staircase. Holy hell, what's going wrong here? A little bit more of the staircase in down here still. But then only up to this point. But it's probably going to be just a little too easy to exploit your way over here, is what I'm guessing. But we'll see. And we can make this like fill out, right? Box closed. There we go. I feel like, yeah, you're definitely going to be able to make that with a couple of dashes. So there needs to be something then that prevents you from doing that. Because that's going to be a little too easy. I don't mind little skips being possible with that exploit, but I think that this is maybe even going to be now possible without that exploit. And skipping over the entire room like that also maybe isn't great. So let's just see. Well, without the exploit, it's not possible. At least it's that. And I think maybe even without the exploit, because it is up a little higher than this area. Yeah, I don't think that's actually... I don't think that's possible. Yeah, no, it's up too high. Okay, fantastic. Unless somebody who is better at timing that than me can do it. But at that point, it's difficult enough to the point where I'm like, you deserve it. So yeah, we can just like put another, called a bookshelf. In here. No, we cannot. Because that doesn't make any sense. Because again, the actual staircase at this like scale would come all the way down to about there, which also means that like all of this which obviously is fixable. We just make the staircase steeper. You know what? Let's make it even steeper. Let's make it like this. Got way too much thought into how realistic all this should have been. I mean, yeah. Yes, I definitely am. But shut up. The step size also is just straight up better. We can make it just like 100. It'll be good, I think. So move this in. And select that. And I mean, at that point, we can just move this over a little, make it a little smaller. See this, right? So that's believable enough. I feel like that's believable enough. And then same for this. So these are going to be like 2 bookshelves. One of them is still standing to the point where I can use it as a platform. Sure. The only thing is we need to get from there. And I think this is too much to expect a dash to be able to make. So I don't know how we're going to close that gap. Closing that gap is going to be annoying. I have no idea. Like, obviously, the first thing that comes to mind is... but I think even that was a little, like, too high. Oh, but that's fixable. We can just, like, move this down. We can just move this down as well. And this. Problem solved. That doesn't need to be a problem. That's not even like slightly aligned, but makeable jump now. Because you don't want that to be a frustrating to land hit, or jump rather. I'm too much like thinking about combat. Because I'm still thinking about enemy possibilities, and I'm making like a water-based enemy that like pops up there, that kind of stuff. Fun. You don't want that to be too annoying to get to, because it is at the end. And tricky to get jump at the end is just probably not the best thing ever. But we can at least like cheese it a little bit like this, so that's good. Oh no, that's fine. That is fine. And with a dash you can make this just about. And then you can make it to here. Okay, no, that's cool. That's fine. Yeah, so that gives this room a little bit more happening to it, I think. Still quite a little like empty space here, obviously, but putting in some debris and some rubble will hopefully spice that up a bit. For now, I think that this is pretty much good to go. Maybe. Yeah, let's say that it is for now. Giggles, right? Um, oh, that is an interesting idea. Because of the way that that exploit works, where you kind of like attack and then dash and then attack and then dash, and getting a lot more horizontal distance. If there's any enemies nearby, that exploit like stops to work. So I can make situations where before you go in to do some platforming, you are forced to spawn in some enemies, and if you want to do that exploit, you need to kill those enemies. But at that point, it might not be worth it anymore to do that. So if there's places where I really don't want people to do that for like speedrunning purposes, I can just place in a handful of enemies, and if they take the time to kill those enemies, they can do it, but they won't have been sped up by it. So at that point, it's the enemies to unlock the possibility of like doing the exploit or just doing the level as intended. But I actually kind of like that. Yeah, so let's with a enemy activator. And the fun thing about this is that most likely, after you finish doing whatever you want to do here, like getting your extra like spell or whatever you unlocked, I don't know what I'm going to put there yet, you'll just jump down here and that'll activate these enemies. But as long as I don't make it overlap with this, there's very little reason for you to just randomly walk up into here and like on your like first way through here. Also, don't want them to activate when you step on those stairs though. So yeah, I think that's pretty neat. Alrighty. Look, this is just gonna be a box with like a chest at the end because this is the reward room. This is just like a little bit of lore. There's gonna be mostly like to make this work the way that it's like supposed to work. We're gonna be done with this one super fucking quickly. Whenever we get around to doing all the art, obviously that also for now, this is going to be a very simple room. Little attention right now because I'm not even like thinking about okay, but we can like, put like the altar here and then some stained glass here, and maybe I should block out the like rough proportions of all that. I definitely, the more I think about it, but I won't because that's work. I don't like doing work. Well, it's not true. I do like doing stuff, but there's more than enough stuff going on here as is. So let's just like make this. And we're going to put a chest. on there. Let's make it look impressive by making it big. And then the inventory will have one slot. It's going to, I don't know, what are we going to put in here? I have no idea. Like a lightning spell or something like that. Did I call it thunder? Thunder spell. Sure. I need to make more spells. Because at this point, almost none of them are going to be craftable. That's probably a better one to do in here. We'll think about that, surely, at some point. Is that centered? Yeah, pretty much. Centered enough for me. And if we want to, we can like put in a fucking mini boss before like that chest spawns in, something like that. If we really feel the need to do that. Well, the more I rely on like we can make a mini boss, the more I'm going to have to make those mini bosses. So maybe. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Can you like trigger them easily like that? You can. Don't care. Because I want to do the normal platforming anyway. I don't want to do the exploit. That again, technically... Yeah, technically I'm just far away enough to the point where I can do it now anyway. Maybe making some variants in height so that I have to jump up and down a couple of times there, just for like engagement reasons, is a good idea. And then here we have our reward. A huge ass fucking chest. Which has... What? What? Oh, hold on. Did I accidentally give all the chests? Yeah, the chests still work on the... No, they shouldn't. Yeah, inventory GUID. What the fuck is going on here? What other chests? Is that even displaying? I put a chest. This one. Right? Magic Essence and Ether. Yeah, so... I'm just going to copy paste this in there. So I have a reference. Is it just... Oh, yes, it is. I think... Yeah, okay. The issue is in my C++ code. Hold on. For the inventory component, I think. Still kind of weird that it does it that way. But the inventory component, it's good that we're figuring this out now. Sets its GUID. No, it doesn't. What? Oh, inventory component. Sets its GUID in the constructor, right? Yeah, so that's not on construct, the construction script. That is when the object gets constructed, which means the class itself, the type of component apparently in Blueprint. I thought it would do it for every instance of it, but apparently it doesn't. So that's okay. Construction scripts. U function. No, that's not it. There's a. I don't remember what it's called. Is it just on construct? No, it's not. ChatGPT, what do you say? I have some other class where I use the construction scripts in C++. I just... What's the C++ function called to run a construction script in Unreal C++? Not just the constructor, but the equivalent of the Blueprint construction script. On construction. Virtual void on construction. The transform override. That's the override, but does not override. Oh, because it is a... Oh, it is a component. That is the issue. Yeah, no. That makes sense. So then how do we do that? I have the issue that my component has a GUID that needs to be generated. But if I do it on construct, it uses the same GUID for every instance of the blueprint that I put the components on, instead of every instance of it in level having its own GUID. But I do really want to generate its GUID from C++. Because otherwise it's going to be a hell packaging this as a standalone plugin. Eventually. I guess I can just do it on begin play. Post initialize components. I'm guessing that's a void. Post init properties. Let me just look up real quick what post-init properties does. I don't feel like that's what I'm supposed to be using. I can just do it on begin play, right? Like that way it just generates the first time you play. No, because that way it generates a new one every time you play. It does need to be generated in editor. I can't generate it like on runtime. So let's see. Yeah, so this is just bullshit, as usual. I guess let's try to move that code over here and see if that changes anything. I don't know where else I would do it. What other functions would I have? I need it to run whenever it is initially plays into the wheel. Not whenever the blueprint is first created. That's what it's doing now, I believe, because if I go into the blueprint itself, we will be able to see that it has a the same GeoID in the blueprint. Don't want that. Matter of fact, that's going to be an issue regardless now. So let's make this edit anywhere just for now. Just in case I need to like null it out again, because the blueprint itself again should very much have all zeros here. Without a doubt. And I wanted to automatically do it, because otherwise every time you add anything with an inventory into the world, it's going to, like, you're going to need to manually generate its ID, and that's just fucking a pain to do. I don't want to have to do that. I guess what I could do is on construct, like not on construct, but in the construction script, I could get the owner. No, I can't do that because I don't think there's a delegate for constructing. It is called on construction though, so you would assume that there's a delegate to go with that. So maybe I can sub to that delegate and have my own like function that runs on the parent actor's construction scripts. Maybe that's a thing we can do. We'll see. For now, let's just see if I can like open BP chest. Still gonna have the same. Yes, let's invalidate that. It's the most important part. And then if I put a chest into the world, doesn't look good. Yeah, doesn't do anything. Okay. Yeah, fuck all that then. So on begin play, let's see. Get owner, which presumably is an actor pointer, right? Actor, there we go. On construction, that's no. What if we do it on begin play? Just let's check, because it might persist, right? It probably won't. But it's worth checking. Because if the downside to this is that you have to run begin play on it once before it generates a GUID, and it's then able to keep the GUID after that, I think that's a fair compromise. It's a little wacky, it's a little weird. I'd prefer to just have it generate the moment you put it into the world. But if that's going to be a problem, this is a fair compromise, I think. But I'm fairly certain that what it's going to do is it's going to assign it a GUID for the play session, and then when the play session ends, it's not going to have a GUID anymore. I'm like 99% sure that that's what's going to happen. So yeah, this is all zeros. Chests. Put that in the world. All zeros. Begin play. Hello, there's a chest there. It's all zeros. And just to show you, if I like click on it now, it's gonna have a GUID because it did do that, right? Yeah. But if I copy that and I stop and I replay, it's gonna have a different GUID. Yes, it's different. So that's not an option. Fuck. Unreal C++ run construction script like function on components. I'm gonna have to think about this for a while, I think. Fresh ChatGPT, let's see. In Unreal, I have a component for my inventory, and every instance of that component should generate a GUID for itself upon first being placed into the world. ideally, it should do this by itself without having to rely on code on the actor to do that. However, since components don't seem to have a onConstruction function to do that with, I am unsure how to get to my desired behavior. You can achieve a goal by leveraging onRegister on the component. The onRegister method is called when the component is registered with the actor, which happens when the actor is spawned or when the component is added to the actor in the editor. Okay. Was not aware that that was a thing. It might not be, to be very fair. Okay, it is. It is a thing. Let's take this code. Throw it in there. The only thing that I'm worried about is that this still might run, probably won't, but it still might run inside of the blueprint class, which it shouldn't. It only should run on individual instances. But if this works, I've learned a new thing. I wonder if that also exists in Blueprint for actor components. Because if it does, I'm making a video about that, like ASAP. Because that is fantastic. I've looked for this exact thing in the past. Just not very hard, apparently, because it does exist. It seems to work. If I just copy this thing over. I copy this thing over. Oh, no, it's doing weird stuff. Hold on. Oh, this is weird. What the fuck's going on? Yes, okay. If I copy this thing over, do both of these have their own GUIDs now? Let's... It seems like they do. This is going to make all of the save files that I already have break, because everything is going to generate itself a new GUID, all the chests anyway. Well, no, actually everything. No, just the chests. Oh, what the fuck? Because everything that already has a GUID, like these already had a GUID. Okay, I think that's fantastic. Yeah. So now just for checking, honestly, because I'm curious, do we have any actor components here that I don't think we do? Just want to check actor components. If I go in here, do you have a like register? Not as an event. No. So you're just kind of fucked if you're using Blueprint in that regard, aren't you? That's just not a thing that you can access in Blueprint. Wow. Huh. I mean, that's fine. kind of just surprised. Because we have the end play and physics. That seems to be it. Don't have any other like events. Yeah, no, only these. Huh. Oh, we have on component activated though. Is that let me, we're just trying stuff out at this point. Add a new component here. We call it just new blueprint. I don't even know that it didn't even run. I guess if it binds it on begin play, that's kind of worthless though, right? Because it's like all this needs to happen before begin play anyway. So I don't know what that does. Yeah, so unregister just doesn't exist in Blueprint. Yeah, we can just force delete that. Huh. Still will be a fun little video to make. To tell people to get their asses into C++ because this stuff does exist there. And it's quite nice. Because it lets you do stuff like we just did. Okay. Well, I think that's a good point to wrap things off. Wrap things up for today. On Thursday, we'll be back. I will be very sad because likely by the time the stream starts, that'll be around the time that Final Fantasy is finished downloading, and then I can't play it because I will be streaming. It's a very sad day. But I'll be back on Thursday nonetheless, and we will probably be doing a lot of platforming stuff because we can just go real quick back into the persistent world. What we've done today is effectively everything aside from the platforming and like the boss room and that kind of stuff. So we just like reload all the red levels real quick. There we go. Yeah, so today we did this, and then this area, which is fairly like temporary because the layout for the enemies here is going to change once I have more enemies, of course. And then we did all this and a fairly placeholder kind of area for this, to be honest, but we did do it. So on Thursday we'll probably be doing a platforming thing to go up the staircase here, and then the actual platforming start for this monstrosity of a room, which is going to be quite something. And then, well, maybe kind of depends on how much time we have left. Maybe we'll get started on this, or maybe we will do some like actual platforming to get up through this area all the way like through here, and make that go up a little bit higher as well, because it definitely needs to be like more verticality to reach in any realistic way. So we need to be able to like get to that from 2 areas, and then we only have these 3 rooms left to go. And this is just like effectively a waiting room. It's just gonna have, this is going to be the actual boss room, and this is going to be something. I don't know yet exactly what that's going to be. It's going to be like the puzzle room, or the like genre shift room, or whatever I call it these days. But what that exactly is going to be, I don't know yet. But yeah, so on Thursday we'll... Thanks everybody for joining in and hanging out and having fun, and or not having fun. I mean, why are you here if that's the case? But sure, some people are into that, I guess. And I'll be back on Thursday doing some more stuff. See ya.